All right, so paragraph number 8. At the other end of the age spectrum, the relative increase in many countries in the population of the elderly relative to available younger caregiver has spurred the development of sophisticated elder care robots. Examples include the Secom My Spoon automatic feeding robot, the Sanyo electric bathtub robot that automatically washes and rinses, and the Mitsubishi Wakamura robot for monitoring, delivering messages, and reminding about medicine. These robots can help the elderly to maintain independence in their own home, but their presence could lead to the risk of leaving the elderly in the exclusive care of machines. The elderly need human contact that is often only provided by caregivers and people performing day-to-day tasks for them. So here what we've done is we have switched topics. So, and you can see that it uses that transition here. There's this transition at the other end of the age spectrum. So we've got that transition. So we know that there's going to be a change in topic, and I did that little triangle to show change. So the relative increase in many countries in the population of the elderly relative to the younger caregivers. So this is, the like old go up, young, or this isn't what it's saying, like, it's just saying that the proportions. So I don't know a good symbol, but like, you can do this like ratio of, old to young, like means, showing that I have this like kind of fraction. Old increasing with the compared to young means like not enough caregivers. So we've already changed in this topic, and then we might be thinking about a population of the elderly relative to available younger caregivers has spurred the development of sophisticated elder care robots. And if you're looking at this word spurred and you haven't heard it before and you're not quite sure what it means, I think that there's ways that you can look at the other words in the sentence and you can understand what this word means. So you have this situation where, there's older people, there's not as many young people, there's not enough caregivers, so the result is the development of sophisticated elder care robots. So spurred, you can think about it, probably means like something like causes. So it has this meaning, but a little bit more to it. So you can just even go like, you can even just say something like causes, because you can figure that out from the context that this word spurred means causes, or this has caused, and also like has this meaning, this idea of kind of increase, like this causation idea and increase. So I'm going to also draw the arrow up, and if you want to look that word up later so that you can and see some other ways that it's used, I think that's a great idea. But I just want to show you that even if you haven't seen this word before, you can look at the ideas, because there's an increase in old people relative to young people, not enough caregivers. So what happens? We develop more elder care robots. And then here I'm gonna do my annotations where we have our examples. And so we've got all of these examples here. And then here is the purpose of the robots. So examples of elder care robots. There's the purpose, and then also, so it's the purpose, and then these robots help the elderly maintain independence in their own homes. But so we have this transition here. So purpose, and kind of it's a little bit positive, so it's like good, these robots help the elderly. But there's also this kind of drawback. back. So what might happen if there's this, if there is this heavy reliance? So we can also almost see this sort of like a little bit, maybe kind of also like a little bit of like a cause and effect, that they help the elderly, but then the result is that they don't get the human contact that they need. Elders don't get human contact. And right now we're mostly writing about the information in this, and I encourage you, while you're reading, have a conversation with the text. So I've gone ahead, I've outlined what's happening in the paragraph, we've looked at vocabulary, we've seen the structure, but even, you know, think about, like, you know, ask yourself questions. Is this okay for my grandparents? You can think about this question, like ask yourself these questions. Is this okay for my grandparents? For me? Think about like what, like put yourself in that situation, or make it something that's more relatable so that you're kind of thinking about it and engaging with these ideas. So we've gotten this nice introduction to this idea of these elder care robots. Let's go ahead and set that page aside and continue reading paragraph 9. Robot companions such as Paro the seal are marketed as pets because they are soft and cuddly and are designed to imitate some of the features of pets, such as purring when touched. They are exploiting human zoomorphism. All right, so we were just talking about elderly care robots, and now we're talking about pet robots that act like pets. And it might be, and right now we might be at a point where we're not quite sure what the connection is. Are we still talking about the elderly using robots? Are we talking about someone else using robots? It might not be clear, but there's, we're gonna, I think, read on and learn a little bit more. And then we've got this sentence here. They are exploiting human zoomorphism. And one thing I encourage you to do is think about, you know, the roots, the words that you know. You've got this zoo here, zoology, zoos, you know, the place you go. This means animal. And morphism, so we've got this morph, that's kind of this like shape or feature. So shape, so that means that right here, what we're doing is that these features of pets, so purring, these things are making humans think that it has the shape of an animal. We give this shape to this animal. So that's what that means there. That zoomorphism is about like kind of seeing something and thinking, yes, that is an animal. That has the shape and the form of an animal. All right. Next, so they're being touted as a solution to the contact problem, but there are still toys that do not alleviate elder isolation, even if they may relieve some of the guilt felt by relatives or society in general about this problem. Okay, so even though we didn't start off with a direct connection to elderly, the connection to elder care, now here's that connection. So we've got, you saw there was that drawback in that last one. So we've got kind of, you know, problem up here. And it sounds like maybe partial solution here. Partial solution. All right, so let's read some more. The success of these robots may stem from people being systematically deluded about the real nature of their relation to the devices. So what we have here is this idea that, you know, it's a partial solution because, you know, elders will, using these robots, will get some good feelings. So they might get elders feel less lonely. And I'm going to kind of put a question mark. So I put a positive here. But the negatives are, it sound like it, let's read these last couple sentences again so that we can kind of get that sense of what's being said here. All right, so they, being these pet robots, are being touted as a solution to the contact problem. But these are still toys that do not alleviate elder isolation, even if they may relieve some of the guilt felt by relatives or society in general about this problem. The success of these robots may stem from people being systematically deluded about the real nature of their relation to the devices. So we've got people here, and it sounds like they're talking about elders. I think, elderly people maybe receiving these devices, these pet robots, seeing them and thinking that they're like, kind of this zoomorphism, seeing them thinking, yes, this is an animal. So we're kind of going back to that idea again. So let's, what we're talking about here is that it's a partial solution because maybe the elders feel less lonely. I'm going to put maybe, but really like what's happening is robot does not equal human. And then another negative is that you've got this idea that I think, other people are happy, like that what they're saying here. So like what we're saying is they may relieve some of the guilt felt by relatives or society. Other people happy, elders still isolated. So we still got kind of this problem that isn't quite solved, and it's something that isn't completely fixed as outlined in paragraph 10. All right, so let's see. So here we've got paragraphs 8 and 9 are talking about elderly people using robots. Let's look at paragraph 10 and see if we're still talking about that. So a different set of ethical issues is raised by the use of robots in military applications. All right, we're switching again. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here.